Hello everyone. Now I'll continue with the session 4 of module 5 of strain measurements. First we'll say what exactly a strain. In your mechanics of material class you might have studied definition of a strain and stress and so on. See, now we'll see the strain is what? When a system of forces or loads act on a body, it undergoes deformation, and the deformation per unit length is known as a strain. See, if a body is subjected to a force, either it may be a tensile force or a compressive force, there will be a change in length. Correct? No, it may increase or decrease. Then strain epsilon is equal to change in length by original length. That is delta L is change in length, where L is equal to original length. If a net change in dimension is required, then the term total strain which we need to use it. A strain applied to most of the engineering materials are very small. They are expressed in terms of microstrains. See, if this microstrain we need to identify or we need to determine, we need to use it a device, that is a strain gauge. See, which is invented by Edward E. Simmons and Arthur C. Rieuge in 1938. Once again, a strain gauge is a device used to measure strain induced in an object. See here, these are certain pictorial views of strain gauges which have been used to determine strain which is induced in a structure or a body. See, strain gauges are best examples for passive transducers and which converts mechanical displacement into a change of resistance. The classification of strain gauges which have been classified in 3 different ways: mechanical strain gauges, optical strain gauges, electrical strain gauges. In mechanical strain gauges, these strain gauges which involves mechanical means for magnification, whereas in optical strain gauges which combines both mechanical and optical systems consisting of extensiometer and autocollimator. Whereas in electrical strain gauges, these strain gauges, there is a change in strain which has been produced in change in some electrical characteristics. This is a typical sketch which shows a mechanical strain gauge. So it consists of 2 gauge points. See, these are the 2 gauge points, right? And this is the specimen, and it is applied an tensile force on either ends. Now, see here, whatever the instrument which has been kept it, we call it as a strain gauge, and one end of the gauge point has been fixed, and the other gauge point which is connected to an magnifying lever, right? This is the second gauge point to get a certain input to the dial indicator. See here, onto the topmost portion there will be a dial indicator which has been used. See, whatever this magnifying lever, you will get it a displacement which is calibrated directly onto the dial gauge or a dial indicator. See, generally a Berry type and Hugenberger type strain gauges which are commonly used. Say, advantages and certain disadvantages of mechanical strain gauges. Under advantages, it has a self-contained magnification system. There is no complication system at all. No auxiliary equipments is needed. There is no extra attachments at all. Then disadvantages or limitations. Limited only static test, right? So if an object which is an idle condition, you can test it. The high inertia of the gauge makes it unstable for dynamic measurements and varying strains. If it is in dynamic measurement, then definitely the strain which may vary at different positions or places. The response of the system is slow, and also there is no method of recording the readings automatically. It is purely a manual method. There should be sufficient surface area on the test specimen and clearance above it in order to accommodate the gauge together with its surroundings. There is also most difficulty which is encountered using an mechanical strain gauges. Next, electrical strain gauges. See, these strain gauges, a change in strain which is produced in some electrical characteristics. See, the electrical output can be magnified by some electronic instruments. They are using some electronic instruments to magnify an electrical output, and to measure a strain which has been possesses the advantage of high sensitivity, the advantage of high sensitivity and ability to respond dynamic strains. And these strain gauges have been classified based on electrical property affected by straining. There are four different types of electrical strain gauges, namely capacitance gauges, inductance gauges, piezoelectric gauges, and finally the resistance gauges. These resistance gauges, which we will discuss in elaborately. See, the principle behind electrical resistance strain gauge is very quite simple. Uh, Resistance of a conductor changes when it is subjected to a mechanical deformation. It's a very simple concept. Once again, electrical resistance of a conductor changes when it is subjected to a mechanical deformation. Say if a load which is applied onto a body which produces deformation, you are well known in both the specimen and as well as resistance element. See, whatever the deformation which has been produced or indicated through measurement of the change in resistance of the element, which may be analyzed to get whatever the deformation. And now we look into this equation. Resistance R is equal to rho L by A, where R is the resistance of the conductor material, L is equal to length of electrical conductor, rho is equal to resistivity of the conductor material, A is equal to cross sectional area of the conductor. Because here in electrical resistance strain gauge, moreover, deformation which depends on to the resistance which has been used. Say the resistance type gauges are by far the most popular, and they have advantages mainly of size and mass over the other types of electrical gauges, and which have been classified based on a particular electrical property affected by straining. See, this is a classification. So it have been classified in three different ways: unbonded type strain gauges, bonded type strain gauges. Again, this bonded type strain gauges further subdivided into wire type strain gauges and foil type strain gauges. And third one, semiconductor strain gauge or piezoresistive strain gauge. First, we'll discuss an unbonded resistance strain gauge. See here, this sketch which shows a bridge circuit, and in this type of strain gauge, the grid which is unsupported. See here, the grid which is unsupported. Here mainly a fine wire which is stretched out between 2 points, then namely A and P, which may be from a part of a rigid base which itself is strained. See, that's a thing we need to remember. and the moment of the point A and B causes a tensile strain here, because see here you look into this base, see there is a force which is pulled here on either ends, then normally there will be a tensile strain which is induced in the material, and the change in resistance is measured by a suitable circuit to give the signal which is a function of a strain. Now see this electrical circuit which is an Wheatstone bridge which is having four different resistors which have been connected with an galvanometer with these whatever ends which have been electrically insulated, and these whatever resistance wires, see here this is the resistance wire 1 and this is the resistance wire 3 and this is the resistance wire 2 and this is the resistance wire 4. See these resistance filaments have been assembled, right? See at the end they have been insulated by using certain insulator to avoid electrical leakage, and moreover the filament which is adjacent to the bridge arms are subjected to strains of opposite signs as shown in the figure, and the resistance of filaments are under tension or wrapped around electrically insulated pins. See these are electrically insulated portion, right, and these are electrically insulated pins we say, and this whatever the assembly must provide a built-in pre-strain in the grids greater than the maximum compressive strain to be sensed. In the case of bonded resistance strain gauges, this is a sketch which shows a bonded resistance strain gauge. See this is an insulating material and this is the wire grid. See in the x direction and y direction you can absorb or you can analyze from the view an assembled gauge. Here in the top view you can see this is a wire grid which they have been used it and they have been kept it in the air, right? See now which has been enclosed in a box container which is, and this whatever the bonded gauge is suitably shaped a piece of resistance metal which is bonded close to the surface whose strain we need to be measured, and generally a thin wire shaped to a grid pattern which is cemented between two sheets of insulating material such as paper or plastic, and the direction of principal strains is not known here. Then the cluster of 3 or more strain gauges are used which are called we say rosettes. If we want to get certain direction of principal strains, then we need to set it a set of strain gauges, then those strain gauges we call it as a rosettes. In wire type resistance strain gauge, say this is a sectional view which shows a wire type resistance strain gauge structure. It consists of a very fine wire of diameter 0.025 millimeter wounded into a grid shape. See wounded into a grid shape, and the grid has been cemented between two pieces of thin papers with plastic or a ceramic backing material. See here a backing is done in order to grid wire which is used easily during handling, and which is secured bonded with a suitable cement to the surface of the member in which the strain has to be measured. Now next a foil type resistance strain gauge. It has two different elements. It has base material and adhesive. See this is a base material and this adhesive which has been used to adhere this foil. See base material, these are used to support the wires. Generally an impregnated paper which is used for at room temperature application. So adhesive which acts as a bonding material, and the bonding material which has to be have successful strain gauge bonding factor, and this whatever the factor or the element which bond the base material properly. And moreover, this adhesive bonding depends upon the surface preparation and as well as the correct bonding agent which we have been provided to bond the base material. See, this is a sketch which shows a foil type resistance strain gauge, and see here there is two different ends which have been kept it for soldering purpose to connect it for electrical connection. So, and these gauges are usually employs a foil, this whatever the foil, less than 0.005 millimeter thick, that is 5 into 10 power minus 3 millimeter thick. The common form of foil type gauge consists of a metal grid of a foil element on a thin epoxy support, and here epoxy is an adhesive material. See, generally an epoxy filled with the fiber glasses are also used for higher temperature, impregnated paper for room temperature, epoxy for higher temperature. So manufacturing this whatever foil type resistance strain gauges by printing on a thin sheet of metal alloy with an acid resistant tank, and then unprinted portion is etched away, and that is a thing we need to do it before using, and it is a thinner and more flexible strain gauge, and moreover the hysteresis is improved here, and better fatigue life and as well as lateral strain sensitivity. Lateral strain, you are well known lateral strain in the sense the strain which is acting on the lateral dimension. Next, semiconductor strain gauges or piezoresistive strain gauges. This is a typical sketch which shows a semiconductor strain gauge found by semiconductor technology. So this is a semiconductor element, and this is a copper lead on either end. Sometimes the gold lead also they will use it, but gold is very costlier. See, to avoid expensiveness, then definitely they are using a copper lead here, and this is a backing material which have been provided on the surrounding, and these semiconductor gauges are cut from a single crystal of silicon or germanium. When the gauge is bonded to a member which is strained to cause a change of current in the semiconductor material, and which consists of a rectangular filament of about 0.05 millimeter thick by 0.25 millimeter wide, which is a rectangular cross section length into breadth, and a gauge length of about 1.5 millimeter to 12 millimeter gauge length. Certain advantages of semiconductor strain gauges. First one, the gauge factor of semiconductor strain gauge is very high, about plus or minus 130, because a p-type semiconductor strain gauge exhibits a very good gauge factor up to 130. Semiconductor strain gauge exhibits a very low hysteresis, less than 0.05. See, this is a very restrictional property, and from this you can eliminate the errors. They are useful in measurement of very small strains of the order of 0.01 micro strains due to their high gauge factor. See, because I've been told in the first point the semiconductor strain gauges have very high gauge factor, so see it replicates on to this point now. See, the semiconductor strain gauge has a much higher output, but it is as stable as a metallic strain gauge. It has a large fatigue life in the order of 10 into 10 power 6 cycles of operation can be performed. It possesses a high frequency response of about 1012 Hertz. They can be manufactured in very small sizes, their length may ranges from 0.7 to 7 millimeter, that is less than a 10 millimeter. Now we'll discuss certain multiple choice questions belongs to the session. A load cell is essentially a options are thermocouple, B thermistor, C photoconductive cell, D strain gauge. Options are A, B, C, D. Look into all this, judge properly. Load cell. See, you are well known in a strain gauge. If we need to get a deformation, then definitely we need to use it a load which has to be acted onto the component. Then the answer is a strain gauge. A load cell is essentially a strain gauge, we say. Strain gauges are invented by, options are Sir Isaac Newton, B Albert Einstein, C Edward E. Siemens and Arthur C. Ruge, D C V Raman. See, your well known Sir Isaac Newton, Newton laws. B Albert Einstein is not for strain gauges, he is invented in some sort of an instrument. Edward E. Siemens and Arthur C. Ruge in 1938 they were invented a strain gauge. Then C. V. Raman is not also an answer. Then definitely C is the Edward E. Siemens and Arthur C. Ruge have been invented a strain gauge in 1938. Answer is C. Strain gauge is an example of, options are A active transducer, B passive transducer, C optical transducer, D negative transducer. Answer is strain gauge is an passive transducer, which is right, which converts a mechanical displacement into an electrical signals. So then it will be an passive transducer, definitely. Answer is B. Fourth question. Dial indicator is used in dash type of strain gauge. Say options were A optical, B electrical, C mechanical, all of these. See, in an first classification, and the first one mechanical strain gauge, they've used an Berry type or Huger-Berger type. See, there is an magnifying lever which has been attached to the dial indicator or a dial gauge. Then definitely answer would be mechanical strain gauge. Question number 5. The following strain gauge is not belongs to electrical strain gauge. Say options are A capacitance gauge, B piezoelectric gauge, C Berry type gauge, D resistance gauge. See, capacitance gauge, piezoelectric gauges, resistance gauges, these three gauges which are belongs to an electrical strain gauge, and Berry type strain gauge belongs to mechanical strain gauge. Then definitely Berry type gauge is not belongs to electrical strain gauge. Answer will be Berry type strain gauge. Question number 6. The following is not belongs to electrical resistance strain gauge. Options are unbonded type strain gauge, B bonded type strain gauge, C piezoresistive strain gauge, D Hugen-Berger strain gauge. See here, these 3 are electrical strain gauges. Unbonded type, bonded type. Again bonded type, it has been classified in 2 different ways, foil type and wire type, and piezoresistive type or a semiconductor type. Now Hugen-Berger strain gauge is a mechanical strain gauge, which is also a Berger type, we say, right? Now then definitely Hugen-Berger strain gauge is not belongs to electrical strain gauge. Answer is the D. Seventh multiple choice question. In wire type resistance strain gauge, diameter of the wire options are A 0.0041 millimeter, B 1.2 millimeter, C 0.025 millimeter, D 2.5 millimeter. See, you observe here the values which have been given in the question. See here 0.041 millimeter, it not be 1.2 millimeter, no. See, the answer will be within these two, then definitely it is 0.025 millimeter, that is almost 1/4 of the millimeter, which is generally right, or to less than 0.3 millimeter. With that we need to remember it, 0.03 millimeter, then answer would be 0.025 millimeter. Eighth question. In wire type resistance strain gauge, the grid is cemented between two pieces of thin paper with wood packing. Options are A wood packing, B plastic or ceramic backing, C carbon packing, D metallic sheet packing. See here in the option wood packing, which is not used generally, right? B plastic or ceramic packing. See, generally they use it as a backing material. Carbon packing, carbon won't be used for backing material. Metal sheet also not be used as a backing material. Then definitely the answer will be a plastic or ceramic backing material which has been used. Option is B. Question number 9. Foil type resistance strain gauges. The following base material used commonly at room temperature. See, in foil type resistance strain gauges, they were using a base material at room temperature and as well as higher temperature. First we look into an options: plain paper, glass paper, aluminium, impregnated paper. See, plain paper they won't use it, glass paper also they won't use it, aluminium sheet also they won't use it. They'll use it an impregnated paper and as well epoxy sheet sometimes they use it. Okay, see, then definitely see impregnated paper which is used for room temperature, right? See, in other paper that is epoxy thing which is used for, right, higher temperature. Then at room temperature impregnated paper. Answer would be D. Question number 10. Foil type resistance strain gauges as usually employ a foil less than dash thick. Say options were A 2.5 millimeter, B 3.5 millimeter, C 1.25 millimeter, D 0.005 millimeter. See, you check it out the answer from the values which they have been given. See, I have discussed very clearly for the foil type resistance strain gauge, which has been generally have a thickness which ranges almost less than 1 millimeter, which is generally that you need to remember it here in this question. Then it will be 0.005 millimeter. See, if they might have given less than 1 millimeter, two more options, then it won't be work out. Then you should be consider it as 1/4 of a millimeter, less than 1/4 of millimeter. Okay, then answer will be D 0.005 millimeter.